Jack Daniel's, whiskey legend. If he were alive today, he'd probably say, that's right, because he's been dead for 111 years, and that's a lot to process, right? But after months of therapy, he would be in awe of all the things we've done with his whiskey. So today's pour choice is a Jack Daniel's sauce rib. We're gonna be spritzing them with Jack and Coke, and then we're gonna be making an amazing Jack Daniel's sauce glaze to go on top. Grilling season is right around the corner, so we gotta get this rust off, baby. Fun fact, Jack Daniel's started working at a distillery around the age of 8. Of course, everybody back in the 1850s probably looked like they were already 40, where he met a slave, Nathan Green, who actually taught him the recipe for Jack Daniel's whiskey. All right, we've got ourselves here just one rack of St. Louis cut spare ribs. These came already trimmed, and I took the membrane off the back, but if you wanna know how to trim and get your ribs cleaned up, you can watch my video that I did about ribs, and all the tricks and tips are there. I do wanna do this though, let me get a knife. So while this back part is fine, I mean, you could get aggressive and cut pieces of fat off like that, which I guess I'll go ahead and do that. There was some stuff on the front that I did just wanna clean up. Again, this is a pretty good rack of ribs, but like, you know, stuff like this, if you want to, just take your knife and just kind of shave it off. This is backyard barbecue, so I don't have to get too crazy. That's all we pretty much need to do for these ribs. We're going to be doing like a loose 3-2-1 method today, which is 3 hours in the smoke, 2 hours in the wrap, 1 hour glazed and sauce on the grill. I don't think we're gonna do that whole thing. Probably 3 hours in the smoke, 1 hour in the wrap, and then like 15 minutes. But every rack of rib is different, so you gotta kind of pay attention. But we're gonna start out by seasoning these. We do not need a binder today for this, but if you want to, you can throw a little layer of mustard down or some olive oil or whatever you want, but I'm just going straight in with the seasonings. Starting with some, our butts are smoking Ozark heat. I like this because 1, it has the heat, and 2, there's a savoriness of it that I really, really appreciate. So we're gonna give a good coating. The meat can take it, so don't be afraid to season your shit. And hit the sides as well. All right, and then I'm coming back with a layer of the Killer Hogs barbecue. Now I like this one as well because it has all the elements of traditional barbecue. So we're gonna get a layer of this on, and you can use any combination of barbecue rubs that you want. I like these two. I like layering things because it just creates layers of flavor, adds more complexity. And Killer Hogs just has a beautiful color. Now, we don't rub these, we just pat it in. And then for the fun side, the meat side. So you're gonna hear me refer to meat side up, meat side down. This is the meat side. The other side where you see the bones, or the bones are a lot more pronounced, that is the not meat side. Although I'm just gonna say either meat side up or meat side down. And if you miss any areas like I did, just touch it up. And then coming back, that layer of Killer Hogs. Okay, and we're gonna give that the pat. Now I'm smoking these today at around 250, and I'm gonna be doing these on my Traeger Timberline. You can use any grill you want, whether it's a Big Green Egg or a Weber grill. Just indirect cooking, 250. And then as far as the smoke goes, I'm using hickory pellets today. Now that I've patted this in, I'm gonna let it just sit. I want this meat to start sweating, and I'll show you what it's gonna look like when it's sweating. But in the meantime, we can get the grill up to 250, so that way, once this is good to go, throw it on, and then we just get drunk. Our rib has been sitting out for about 15 minutes or so while we wait for the grill to get up to 250. And as you can see here, the meat is starting to sweat. Meat sweats, that's what we want. That's a good sign that our seasonings are working. It's getting into the meat, all those salts and sugars and other spices. I want to get our spritz together, which is the easiest thing in the world. Spray bottle. I have one dedicated just to cooking. What I'm gonna do is I've got this small can of Coca Cola here. This is like a 7.5 ounce. So let's say roughly 8 ounces of Coca Cola. We're just gonna pour it in here. I'm probably gonna spill a bunch. Oh, look at me, pouring like a champ. I'll probably fuck up the Jack Daniel's though. And then, I don't have anything to measure this with, but who cares? About 2 ounces of Jack Daniel's. So let's say that's an ounce, and then let's say that's an ounce. I love eyeballing alcohol. So what I wanna do is, I'm not gonna put the lid, I'm not gonna screw it on, I just wanna put it in there. I want this to come up to room temp because what we're gonna do is about an hour and a half in, we're gonna start spraying our ribs down with this mixture, but I want it to come up to room temp. So just let that chill there, sit mixed up, and let's go ahead and get these onto the smoker. All right, the grill is up to 250 degrees, and remember, any grill, just indirect cooking, 250, keep it stabilized, and hickory wood, whether it's pellets or chunks or chips, you're good to go. So let's get this Traeger lid up. And we are going to put these on meat side up. And remember, how you place your ribs on the grill is how they're going to set. So I like to bunch them up, try to get these bones as straight as possible. It just makes cutting them later on so much easier. That's it. So for the next hour, hour and a half or so, they're just gonna take in smoke, and then we're gonna come up and spritz them for the first time and check on our development. All right, it has been an hour and a half. Let's check on our rib. And nice, we're starting to get some good color. As you can see, the surface is starting to get a little dry, which is where our spritz is going to come into play here. So again, that Jack and Coke mixture, just spray it enough so at least it gets wet. We don't have to worry about the bottom side. We just want this meat side. And I think that's good. Wow, that smells really good. So we're gonna let this just go for like another hour or so, but I think every 20 minutes I'm gonna come out here and just kind of check on it. If it's drying up, I'll hit it with a little bit more spray. But I think one more hour will be good because the color is already starting to form the way that I want. And yeah, it'll be almost time to wrap soon. Total, it's been 2.5 hours. I came up here every 20 minutes after that first hour and a half and sprayed it. So it's time to get our ribs off. And this is the color that we're looking for, a nice little mahogany color. Some of the spray from the last time I came up here is still there, but we are going to get this wrapped. And we're just gonna bring it right over here. And hopefully the wind works with us. So first thing we're gonna do is, wow, it's bright as shit. Just take some of that Jack and Coke mixture that we had, just spray the top, the meat side, dark brown sugar. And we're just gonna lay just a good line of it. And I've doubled up this foil. This is heavy duty Reynolds wrap foil because I wanna make sure like none of the bones or anything poke through and create holes because we wanna keep everything wrapped up inside here. And then what I also wanna do is take this, and you've seen this before, this is Captain Rodney's Boucan Glaze. It's hard to describe this, but it's got some spice. It's got scotch bonnet peppers in it. And I really like it when I'm wrapping ribs. So what I'm gonna do is about just a line of it. Maybe two, because that wasn't that thick of a line. Let's just take our rib that we have been cooking meat side up this entire time, and now we're gonna put the meat side down right on top of our brown sugar and our Boucan glaze. And then last thing I'm gonna do, just for this back side, I'm just gonna just spray with some more of that Jack and Coke mixture. So now it's gonna fold this over. And we want this all to be as tight as we possibly can. Fold that over. Get our ends flush. And that's the end of the rib there. And that's the end of the rib there. And then I'm just going to fold these like this because I do want to be able to have access to this later on just to check on the temperature and the tenderness of it. So I don't want to get too crazy sealing this off. That is our rib. The meat is still down, and what we're going to do now is take it back over to our grill. Meat side still down. Back on, still at 250. And we're just gonna let that go. This is the tenderizing process. And so what I'm gonna do is set a timer for about an hour because I don't want it to get to the point where like it's falling apart so much that like I can't even like move it, and it's just, yeah, we don't want that, it's messy. So I'm gonna set my timer for 1 hour, and in that hour, that gives us plenty of time to make our Jack Daniel's glaze, which is the pour choice of today. Let's go. All right, so first time in pour choices history, Lewis forgot to hit record. That's the consequences of being under any type of influence when you do the show. So I made a glaze. I can tell you what I did. I used 8 ounces of a dark brown sugar, and I used 2 ounces of pineapple juice, 2 ounces of Jack Daniel's whiskey, and I have this bottle here of Lillies Carolina barbecue sauce. And as I explained earlier, which I guess this was a rehearsal, this is a vinegar-based barbecue sauce. And all that really means is just it's heavier on the vinegar side. Killer Hogs makes the vinegar sauce. Franklin's Barbecue makes the vinegar sauce. There's plenty of them out there. I like this because all the times I've done it versus using regular barbecue sauce, this just kind of helps, that twang just kind of helps the Jack Daniels really stand out. So I'm using that. This is a 20-ounce bottle. I'm going with about half. And I want to make sure, this is not to be confused with North Carolina barbecue, which is typically just pure apple cider vinegar and red pepper flakes. This is still a barbecue sauce. So I put about half in there, so maybe get like 8 or 10 ounces. What else did I do? Oh, it's in a saucepan over medium heat. I whisked it up. It's currently simmering. And I wanted to simmer for about 5 minutes just so all the flavors can kind of come together and make sure that that sugar dissolves. And feel free after 5 minutes just to taste it and see if you want to make any adjustments, if you want it sweeter, if you want more barbecue sauce, if you want that alcohol to be a little bit stronger, it's up to you. But those are the measurements. Hopefully we got it this time. All right, it's been just slightly over an hour, maybe like an hour and 5 or 10 minutes. I want to just check on this real fast. So one way I'll know is just by looking at it. I see the pullback on the bones here. So that's always a good sign, but also I can temp it, get around that 200 range, which is like 200 to 205 is what we're kind of looking for, because these are gonna go back on the grill. See, that's 204. And our grill this entire time has still been at 250. We've never changed the temperature. So what I wanna do, we've got our glaze here. So first thing we're gonna do is take our glaze. We've got a brush here, and I'm just hitting all of it. And the sides as well, and it's okay to do this because it's just mixing with our glaze. So that's that side, and then what I want to do carefully, which I want to do smartly, I'm just going to grab it, and again, very carefully, because if yours is at the higher end of the temperatures, it could fall apart, and you don't want that.
I mean, it's only 200 degrees.
Right. It's only a 200-degree piece of meat. Yeah. And now that we flipped it over, we're going to hit the top side with that Jack Daniels glaze that we made. And at this point, once we put it back on the grill, we are just waiting for this glaze to kind of tack up a little bit. So it'll go on for like another, 15 to 20 minutes. But what I can do here to kind of contain some of this juice, because as you can see, there's a lot of liquid going on here, is I can do the foil boats method. Now, typically you should do this beforehand, but I didn't. So all I'm gonna do is just take this as best as I can, and I'm just making a little boat for it. So I'm gonna fold it, and all I'm really doing here is just containing this liquid. Some people do this really, really well. Oop. And I have done this good before in the past, but today is not that day. Oop, spilling it. That's all good. And then some people do like the paper airplane thing here. You bring it up and then fold it over. And you've got your ribs contained in, again, this foil boat. Let's make this easier to transfer. Ooh, that's definitely the hot side. Back onto the grill is gonna go 15 to 20 minutes, just so that glaze can tack up. And then we will be done. To do this, I'm gonna hit it with just a little bit more glaze now that it's on an even surface, because I like this sauce. The sauce tastes amazing. All right, 15 to 20 minutes, we are done. We'll see you downstairs. All right, 20 minutes has gone by since we glazed our Jack Daniel ribs, and they are ready to be served. Got my little carving knife right here. And we're just gonna go bone by bone, right in between each one. And like I said, carving is so much easier when you got your bones set properly at the cook. This is our rib. We got a good smoke ring on there. We got a good glaze. The only thing left to do is to eat it. Oh, such a burden. Oh, I hate the fact that it's so good. I have to talk about it. Oh guys, that's really, really good. Like me, I'm a saucy person. I want a little bit more of that Jack Daniel's sauce. That's amazing. This is definitely a summer winner. All your guests will be very, very happy. Again, any grill, indirect, 250. The entire time, hickory wood, you're good to go. So that's Poor Choices Kitchen. I highly recommend this to start your summer cookouts, and let me know what you think. We'll be back here next time.